In the far reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy, where stars twinkle like scattered diamonds in endless black velvet, a small space station floated silently. It was called Outpost Echo, a remote listening post designed to watch over the surrounding star systems. The station was old but sturdy, run by a small crew of scientists and technicians who spent their days monitoring strange signals and unknown transmissions from deep space. One quiet day, as the station hummed with its usual steady rhythm, the calm was broken by a sudden alert. The control room's screens flickered to life, displaying a strange new signal that no one had seen before. The signal was unlike anything they had recorded in months, a sharp, clear distress call, but with words that sent chills down their spines. "Help us. Deathworlders are coming." The message repeated, spoken in a harsh, broken voice. Captain Reyes, the station's leader, stared at the screen, his brow furrowed. The word Deathworlders was unfamiliar to him and his team. It sounded like a warning, but no one knew who these Deathworlders were, or why anyone would be so scared of them. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered about old space legends. Stories of deadly warriors who came from planets where only the strongest could survive. Others thought it might be a trap, a trick used by pirates or enemies to lure someone into danger. "Where did the call come from?" asked Lieutenant Harris, the communications officer. Reyes tapped a few buttons and zoomed in on the coordinates. Deep in the uncharted sector near the Zeta Nebula, no known colonies or stations there. Could it be a false alarm? Another. Crew member Engineer Lin wondered aloud. It be a glitch or a prank? Unlikely, Reyes replied. The signal pattern is too complex to be accidental. Someone is really in trouble. The team decided to send a probe to the source of the call. The small ship launched quietly into space, its sensors searching for any signs of life or activity. Minutes passed slowly as everyone waited. Suddenly, the probe's camera showed a dark, rocky planet covered in thick, swirling clouds of purple and green. The surface looked rough, full of jagged mountains and deep craters. No signs of cities or buildings appeared. But then, a new transmission came through, a short message, almost broken by static. "They are here. We are not ready. Help us." The room grew silent. The words were urgent and scared. Something very dangerous was near that planet. "Who are they?" whispered Harris. Reyes shook his head. "We don't know yet. But whoever sent this message is clearly afraid." As the hours passed, more signals arrived, all filled with fear and desperation. The strange voice warned of an approaching fleet, the Deathworlder fleet, described as the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. These warriors were said to come from a harsh planet where survival meant fighting every moment. No one had ever seen their ships before, but rumors told of weapons so powerful they could destroy whole worlds. Reyes called for an emergency meeting. "Cannot ignore this," he said firmly. "If the distress call is real, we could be facing a new threat unlike anything we have ever seen." "But our fleet isn't equipped for war," Engineer Lin argued. "We're a research station, not a military base." "That's why we need help," Reyes said. "We'll send a message to the nearest defense fleet, the Deadliest Warriors. They are legendary fighters. If anyone can stop this, it's them." The crew prepared the message with care, sending out the warning and the coordinates. Now, all they could do was wait and hope that help would come before it was too late. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the silence was broken once again by a fleet moving swiftly through the stars. The Deathworlder fleet was on its way, a shadow, drifting toward the unknown. Back on Outpost Echo, the atmosphere was tense. Every beep of the console, every flicker of the screen felt heavy with meaning. The scientists tried to focus on their work, but their minds kept returning to the mysterious call. "Do you really think they are as deadly as the stories say?" asked Len quietly. Reyes looked out the station window at the distant stars. "I don't know what's out there, but I do know one thing. We can't turn away from this. Whatever happens next, it will change everything." As night fell on the station, the crew gathered in the small common room. They shared quiet conversations about what might come, about survival and fear, and about the unknown warriors called Deathworlders. Suddenly, the communication system crackled again, and a new message came through, short, clear, and chilling. Prepare yourselves. We are coming. The room fell into silence. Every person felt the weight of those words deep inside. Deathworlders were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. This was only the beginning. Outpost Echo was no longer just a lonely station in space, it was the first line of defense. In a fight for survival, the mysterious distress call had opened a door to danger, and soon everyone would find out what it truly meant to face the deadliest warriors in the galaxy. Days passed, slowly on Outpost Echo. The small crew waited anxiously, watching the stars for any sign of help. The mysterious distress call had set everything into motion, but no one knew exactly what to expect then. Far in the distance, shadow appeared against the endless black of space, a fleet of ships moving fast, coming from the direction of the Zeta Nebula. Captain Reyes stood at the station's observation window, his eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. The ships were unlike anything he had ever seen. They were large and heavily armored, with sharp edges and strange glowing lights. They moved silently, but powerfully, like hunters closing in on their prey. "They have arrived," said Lieutenant Harris, his voice low but full of tension. The fleet entered the station's radar range. The signal readings showed hundreds of ships, fighters, cruisers, and huge command vessels. It was clear these were the Deathworlders. The crew gathered in the control room, staring in disbelief. Who were these warriors, and why were they here? Suddenly, a loud voice filled the room through the communication system. It was deep and rough, the voice of the Deathworlder fleet's commander. "This is Commander Kale of the Deathworlder." "Fleet," the voice announced, "we have received your call. State your situation." Captain Reyes stepped forward. "Outpost Echo here. We received a distress call from a nearby planet. We don't know the full danger yet, but we are ready to assist." Kale's voice was cold. "We are not here to assist. We are here to fight." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Reyes, confused and alarmed. "Fight? Against whom?" Reyes asked carefully. "Against those who threaten our world. Against those who sent the distress call. We are the Deathworlders, the deadliest warriors in this galaxy. We do not take prisoners. We do not show mercy." A chill ran through the room. The stories were true. The Deathworlders were feared across star systems for their brutal fighting skills and advanced weapons. Their home planet was a harsh, deadly world where only the strongest survived. Reyes swallowed hard. "We don't know much yet, but the distress call warned us of an approaching threat to that planet. We want to protect innocent lives." Kale laughed, a harsh, cold sound. "Innocent lives. There are no innocents on a death world. Only survivors or the dead." Suddenly, the Deathworlder ships moved closer, surrounding Outpost Echo. The station's alarms began to ring. Was this a show of power, or were they preparing to attack? Then the fleet commander sent another message. "You will join us, or you will be destroyed. We do not negotiate." Reyes knew he had to act fast. He gathered his crew. "Prepare for defense. But also we must find a way to understand their true intentions. There is more to this than we see." Meanwhile, on the planet below, the rocky surface stirred. Strange creatures moved through the thick clouds, watching the stars and waiting. The Deathworlder fleet was only part of a much larger danger, one that could change the fate of the galaxy. Back on the station, a young technician named Maya worked quickly at the communications console. She had been studying the Deathworlder, language and signals, hoping to find a way to communicate better. "Captain," she said, "I found something strange in their messages. It's like they are hiding something. Their words don't match their actions." Reyes nodded. "Keep digging. We need to know their real plan before it's too late." As the Deathworlder ships orbited the station, tension grew. The crew worked, day and night, preparing for what could be the fight of their lives. Suddenly, a ship from the fleet detached and approached Outpost Echo. It was smaller, faster, but heavily armed. A door opened, and a single Deathworlder warrior stepped inside. Tall, muscular, wearing dark armor with glowing red lines. His eyes were sharp, filled with both pain and power. He looked around the station, then spoke in broken but clear English. "I am Rin. I come as a warning. Not all Deathworlders agree with Commander Kale." The crew stared, surprised. Was this warrior a spy, a traitor, or a hope? Rin continued, "There is a threat worse than any battle we have fought. The distress call was not a trick. It was a desperate cry for help. But Kale wants war, and war will destroy us all." Reyes stepped forward. "If what you say is true, we need to work together. We cannot survive divided." Rin nodded. "Time is short. You must trust me. I will help you prepare." The tension in the room shifted. For the first time, there was hope, but also more questions. Outside, the Deathworlder fleet waited, a looming force ready for battle. But inside Outpost Echo, a fragile alliance was forming, one that might change everything. The galaxy was on the edge of war. The fragile alliance between Captain Reyes, his crew, and the warrior Rin brought a moment of hope to Outpost Echo. But as the days passed, the danger lurking in the shadows began to reveal itself. Rin explained the truth of the distress call. The message wasn't just a cry for help. It was a warning about a hidden enemy moving fast toward the Deathworlder's home planet. This enemy was an ancient alien species known as the Verkath, ruthless hunters, who wiped out entire civilizations in the past. "They come from the dark edges of the galaxy," Rin said. "Their ships are fast and deadly. Their weapons burn like fire and death. If they reach our world, nothing will survive." Captain Reyes listened carefully. "Why would the Verkath attack the Deathworlders? What do they want?" Rin's eyes darkened. "Our planets hold resources they need, energy crystals that power entire fleets. The Verkath want to control everything." Meanwhile, the crew of Outpost Echo worked around the clock, using every sensor and scanner to track the Verkath fleet's approach. On the station's main screen, dark shapes moved like shadows through space, growing larger by the hour. The crew felt the weight of fear and urgency. This was no ordinary battle. It was a war for survival against an enemy that showed no mercy. Suddenly, a warning alarm blared through the station. "Verkath ships detected jumping through hyperspace near the outer rim," announced Lieutenant Harris, his voice tense. The control room erupted into action. Captain Reyes stood firm, his voice steady. "Prepare all defenses. Notify the Deathworlder fleet." But communication with Commander Kale was silent. The Deathworlder ships remained, distant, almost as if waiting for something. Rin shook his head. "Kale does not trust us. He believes this fight is his alone, a chance to prove the Deathworlder's power." Reyes clenched his fists. "We need to unite or we all lose." Then, out of the darkness, a fleet of Verkath ships appeared. Their design was terrifying, sharp, black holes that seemed to absorb light. With weapons that crackled with blue energy, the battle began. Explosions lit up space, bright and deadly. The Deathworlder fleet fought fiercely, but the Verkath were relentless. Outpost Echo trembled as distant blasts shook the station inside. The crew scrambled to keep the station safe, while Rin and Reyes coordinated their limited forces in the chaos. A new message crackled through the station's communication system. "Kale demands total control," Rin said grimly. "He will attack any ship that tries to retreat." The situation was clear. The Deathworlder commander was risking everything to show strength. Even if it meant losing allies, Captain Reyes made a decision. "We can't wait for Kale's orders. We'll lead our own strike against the Verkath. If we don't act now, it will be too late." With Rin's help, Reyes prepared a daring plan to sneak a small team close to the Verkath flagship and disable their weapons. The crew was nervous but ready. They knew the mission was dangerous, but survival demanded courage, as they're small. Ships slipped through enemy lines. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The small strike team, led by Captain Reyes and Rin, moved silently through space toward the massive Verkath flagship. The enemy ship was a fortress, dark and covered in strange armor plates that shimmered like metal snakes. Inside Outpost Echo, the crew waited anxiously, watching the battle rage outside. The Deathworlder fleet and Verkath forces clashed. Violently, shaking the space around the station, Reyes and Rin's mission was clear. Disable the Verkath's main weapons and give their fleets a chance to survive, but trust was hard to find. The Deathworlders, fierce and proud, had their own secrets. Even Rin's loyalty was questioned by some, as Reyes and his team approached the enemy ship's surface. They received a sudden warning from the Deathworlder commander Kale. "This is Kale." His voice crackled through the comms. "Turn back now, or face destruction. Your mission endangers us all." Reyes frowned. Kale's pride was dangerous, but time was running out. "We have to do this," Reyes told Rin. "If we don't, everyone dies." Inside the Verkath flagship, Reyes and his team sneaked through dark corridors filled with strange alien symbols and blinking lights. The ship felt alive, cold, and threatening. Suddenly, they were discovered by Verkath guards, monstrous creatures with sharp claws and glowing eyes. A fierce fight began. Using quick moves and powerful weapons, Reyes' team fought hard. Rin's warrior skills proved deadly, cutting through enemies with lightning speed. After intense moments, they reached the weapon control room. Reyes placed charges on the main energy cores, setting a timer. "Get out. No. We have only minutes," he warned his team. As they escaped the ship's corridors, alarms blared loudly. Verkath reinforcements poured in, but the team raced against time. Back outside, the Deathworlder fleet watched as explosions rocked the Verkath flagship. The enemy weapons went offline, and their ships began to retreat. Kale's voice came again, softer this time. "You have done well." Reyes knew this fragile truce might not last, but for the moment, they had won a critical victory. Back at Outpost Echo, the alliance was uneasy but necessary. The Deathworlders and station crew began working together, sharing knowledge and preparing. For what would come next, Rin approached Reyes privately. "This war is only beginning. We must be ready for anything." Reyes nodded. "Together, or we will all fall." The silence of space shattered by the roar of battle. The Verkath fleet, furious after losing their flagship's weapons, returned with even greater force. The sky above the rocky planet filled with hundreds of ships, fighters darting like angry hornets, cruisers blazing bright with energy beams, and massive warships shaking the stars. Outpost Echo trembled from the shockwaves. Its alarm screaming warnings to the crew inside. Captain Reyes and the Deathworlder fleet stood ready. Their ships were smaller in number, but known for their speed, strength, and deadly precision. Every warrior aboard the Deathworlder ships was trained for battle since childhood. The two fleets collided in a violent storm of light and sound. Energy beams cut through space. Explosions burst in fiery clouds. Ships twisted and turned to dodge death. On the bridge of the Deathworlder flagship, Commander Kale shouted orders with a fierce intensity. "Hold the line. Do not let them break through." But as the battle raged, something unexpected happened. A ship from the Deathworlder fleet suddenly turned away and fled into the darkness. Chaos spread. Was it a coward, a spy, or something worse? Captain Reyes received a secret message, a warning from inside the fleet. "Betrayal among us. Someone is helping the Verkath." The fight became more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Meanwhile, Reyes led a small squadron pushing toward the enemy's main warship. They fought through heavy fire, dodging deadly blasts, their hearts pounding with every close call. Explosions rocked their ships, but they refused to back down. Inside the enemy warship, the Verkath prepared a final weapon, a massive energy cannon that could destroy entire planets. Reyes knew they had to stop it at all costs. With a fierce yell, the squadron launched an all-out attack, breaking through the enemy defenses and reaching the cannon's control room. The battle inside was brutal. Laser swords clashed, and blaster shots filled the air. Just when it seemed the enemy would win, surprise arrived. Rin and a group of Deathworlder warriors joined the fight. Turning the tide with their unmatched strength, the cannon was destroyed. In a massive explosion that lit up space, as the enemy fleet scattered, Reyes and his team watched carefully, The battle was won. But the cost was high. The betrayal inside the Deathworlder fleet remained a dark mystery, and the war was far from over. The battle had been won, but Outpost Echo and the Deathworlder fleet were far from safe. The warning about betrayal shook everyone to the core. Captain Reyes gathered his crew in the control room. His face was serious. "We have enemies among us. Someone is working with the Verkath." Whispers spread through the station. Who could it be? A spy? A traitor? Lieutenant Harris worked quickly, scanning all communication logs and ship movements. There are unusual transmissions, secret signals sent during the battle. Someone betrayed our positions. Rin looked grim. The Deathworlders are proud, but even the strongest can be broken from inside. Reyes decided to act fast. We will find the traitor. No one leaves this station until we do. Meanwhile, Commander Kale remained distant and cold, refused to trust anyone outside his close circle. His orders grew harsher, and tension inside the fleet rose. One night, an explosion rocked the station's lower decks. Smoke filled the air, alarms blared. "It's sabotage," shouted Engineer Lin. Someone planted a bomb. Crew worked together to stop the fire and repair the damage. But fear was spreading fast. Reyes and Rin began a secret investigation. They followed clues, strange energy readings, missing supplies, secret meetings in shadowed corners. The traitor was clever, but not perfect. Finally, they found a hidden communication device sending messages to the VOR single quotes. The truth was shocking. The traitor was someone close to the fleet's command. Someone who wanted the war to continue for their own gain. Reyes confronted the traitor. A Deathworlder officer named Vex. Vex had been secretly selling information to the enemy, hoping to rise in power by weakening his own people. With Vex arrested, the crew felt a moment of relief, but the damage was done. Trust had been broken. Rin warned, "This war is not just battles and weapons. It is a war of shadows. We must stay united." Reyes nodded. "We will, for now, we prepare." The Verkath will not stop coming. Outside the station, the stars glittered cold and distant. The war was far from over. The darkest days were still ahead. The days grew darker for Outpost Echo and the Deathworlder fleet. After uncovering the traitor, the crews worked harder than ever, repairing their ships and training for the battle they all knew was coming. Captain Reyes stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. "This is our last chance," he said quietly. "The Verkath are gathering their full force. Soon, they will strike with everything they have." Rin joined him, her eyes fierce but tired. "We must be ready to fight like never before. We fail, the Deathworlder's world, and many others will fall." Inside the fleet, Commander Kale finally agreed to work closer with Reyes and the station crew. The old warrior understood that pride could not win this war alone. "United we stand. Divided we fall," Kale said with a rare nod. The crews made final preparations. Weapons were loaded, shields reinforced, and battle plans carefully laid out. Everyone knew this battle would decide the fate of their galaxy. Suddenly a message arrived from an unexpected source. It was a Verkath commander, sending a chilling offer: "Surrender now, or be destroyed." Reyes stared at the screen, feeling the weight of that choice. "We cannot surrender," he said firmly. "We will fight to the last breath." Rin smiled grimly, then let the final stand begin. As the enemy fleet approached, stars lit up. With energy blasts and explosions, ships zoomed and twisted through space, fighting for every inch in the heart of the battle. Reyes and Rin led a daring assault on the Verkath flagship once again, this time to end the war. The fight was brutal and desperate. Every move could mean victory or death, but hope burned bright in their hearts. They fought not just for survival, but for the future of every world in the galaxy. The final battle shook the galaxy. The Verkath flagship loomed ahead, its dark hull glowing with deadly energy. Captain Reyes and Rin led the strike team, ready to face whatever came next. Inside the enemy ship, fierce fighting broke out. Laser blasts lit the corridors as Reyes and his team pushed forward. Every step was a fight for survival. Rin moved like a shadow, cutting down enemies with unmatched skill. Reyes covered his crew, making sure no one was left behind. At the heart of the ship, they found the Verkath commander, a towering figure with glowing eyes and a voice like thunder. "You will fail," he growled. "This galaxy will be ours." Reyes stood firm. "Not while we still fight." A final battle erupted, fierce and fast. Blades clashed, weapons fired, and sparks flew. With a well-timed move, Reyes and Rin disabled the Verkath commander's weapon systems. The ship began to shake. Outside, the Deathworlder and Outpost Echo fleets took advantage. Pushing the enemy back, the Verkath flagship exploded in a massive fireball. Lighting up space like a new sun, the enemy fleet retreated, broken and defeated. Back on Outpost Echo, the crews cheered, knowing they had won, but also that peace was fragile. Commander Kale approached Reyes. "Today we fought as one. Today, the galaxy saw hope." Reyes nodded. "This is just the beginning. We must rebuild together." Rin smiled. "A new dawn rises. One where warriors fight not for power, but for peace." As stars shone brightly overhead, Outpost Echo and the Deathworlders looked to the future, ready to face whatever came next.